First of all, this is going to be graphic, so if it's too much for you, you guys can go ahead and move on. How did I become this fragrance guru? Well, I'm going to tell you guys. So around my teenage years, I started having these little sores pop up like under my arms and in my groin area, buttocks, thighs, things like that. That would sort of like look like little pimples. So it would become these like pus-filled pockets that essentially would become infected that I would sometimes occasionally have to get surgically removed. The first time I ever had this experience, I was around 16 years old. I was working at a Radio Shack, which is an old electronic store for all you Gen Zers out there. I wore a white button-down shirt, khaki pants, and I was helping a customer one day, and my boss came up and tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Hey, Derek, you have blood all down your pants." So I got embarrassed. I went home, and come to find out, I had this open wound in my groin area. I went to the doctor. They said we have to cut it open and get rid of it. So that was my first surgery. Since then, I've had dozens of surgeries, some happening in hospitals, other in emergency rooms, but there's been so many over the years, it's ridiculous. This disease pops up anywhere. It can pop up on your nose, on your face, on your neck, any place. I believe the only places it doesn't pop up is on the palms of your hands and on the bottoms of your feet. I have been septic dozens of times. This is considered the most painful disease in the history of all skin diseases. It is an autoimmune disease. Why am I telling you this? Because one of the major side effects of this disease is that it causes this strong, foul odor, almost like dead or rotting skin. And I've been dealing with this my entire life. And I would become very self-conscious. I would not leave my home for weeks, months sometimes, because I was so embarrassed to be out in public in fear that people would smell me. I started wearing cologne, and that sort of hid things. And I used special soaps. I would shower 4, 5, 6 times a day, changing my clothes constantly. Fortunately, over time, the condition got so bad that I ended up bedridden for almost 2 years. I had gained almost 500 pounds, and I couldn't walk. I couldn't do anything. And this was right around the time of COVID. And at the time I was married, and my wife and my mother had suggested I find a hobby. So I had already kind of been collecting fragrances. I had been watching reviewers review fragrances such as Steven from Red Essence, Brooklyn Fragrance Lover, Robes 08, all of them. I decided to start making videos. And over time, people started watching those videos and engaging. And that's how I became Fragrant Derek. And that's the rest of it. I've lost a ton of weight since then. I've gotten a lot healthier. Unfortunately, about a year and a half ago, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, which is pretty typical for people with HS to develop some kind of coexisting autoimmune disease. I got lucked out with MS. It is what it is. But I just wanted to share that story with you as to why I became Fragrant Derek. Unfortunately, it is something that I have to deal with, and it's something that a lot of people aren't aware of. A lot of people have never heard of HS. It's called Hidradenitis Suppurativa. It affects a very small, minute subset of humans out there, and we are a very tight-knit community. And if you're watching and you have HS, I love you, and I am praying for you. But anyway, so yeah, that's how I became Fragrant Derek.